It's now been just over a month since I had my first encounter with salvia. I've spent the last 5 weeks trying to put my thoughts together on this experience, which hasn't been an easy task, and my experience was truly profound, enlightening and utterly horrifying. Coming to terms with exactly what happened in those 6 to 7 minutes of my life in this human form is difficult, and I'm now left with nothing but my human perceptions and recollections of the event. And I understand that this is a feeling that is common with the drug, and I'm telling you this story with the certainty that only those others who were on the same stuff truly understand. And now enlightened, the following account is my recollection of the experience. So let's first talk about the setting. I was spending New Year's with some college buddies in my home state of Georgia. One of my friends offered me the chance to try some salvia, and having tried it once and shared it with a few others, I was at that time under the impression, as many still seem to be, that it would be something similar to marijuana, which I've become very familiar with over the past few years. Maybe this is due to its legality, which is absurd considering the paranoia of being a pothead, which is completely taboo nowadays. Anyways, I was curious and I would try anything once. Understanding the environment is essential to understanding the events which unfolded, so the important things are these. We'd just finished smoking a joint of high to mid marijuana. I was peaking on this while myself and 3 friends present were talking while listening to The Wall by Pink Floyd. Of the 3 others present, 2 had taken the drug previously, one being the friend in possession of said drug, and the other a housemate who had only achieved mild visual effects. I'm still uncertain as to the level of hallucination achieved by my provider, if he broke through as I did. However, remember that at this time I had absolutely no idea what was to be expected from this substance, having been misinformed as to its nature. Since I was the most experienced smoker, I took the task of constructing the water bong. I used a 2-litre Coke bottle, filling the ball around half full with 13x SALVIA Divinorum extract. In the kitchen sink, I filled the entire bottle with water and proceeded to hold the flame to the bowl as a muddy, light brown smoke filled the bottle. And with my very excited friends just behind me, we quickly skipped our way back to the bedroom. My friends began to speak with raised voices, instructing me to huff it, you have to take it all, the whole thing. I told them to start the record, and I took my biggest breath that I could, inhaling almost all of the contents of the bottle. I coughed, but it wasn't too intense, and I prepared to take the rest as my ecstatic friends yelled at me, "Take the rest, do it!" I finished the rest in the second hit, but my friends still weren't satisfied, again still instructing me to take even more from the bong, and just to satisfy them, I breathed in one more huge breath of dirty air, now tasting the bitterness of the extracted, and then I vomited. Luckily, there was a trash can right in front of me, but needless to say, there was some excitement over this, but I was at this moment distracted, and almost as soon as I started to feel an intense tingling running up my body, my sitters and I all recognised that the drug was indeed taking effect. I sat down trying to relax, albeit a little embarrassed, as my friend said, "This is it." I remember little more at this point, as in a few seconds, I was completely gone. Now the breakthrough is the difficult part of the account where I attempt, as many others have before me, to describe the end of life and identity, the ego death. There, nothing but a sensation at first, not of being ripped apart. I couldn't say that I had been ripped apart, as in a million pieces. There were no pieces because there was nothing the pieces would consist of. I had no physical body. The sensation now gave way to awareness, and I had a sense that I had been something with a physical body which was suddenly extinguished by a strong force pulling to the right and then to the left. And there was sort of a 2-dimensional plane which I was pushed through rightward, and as I went through I lost all perceptions, memories and sensations of my human life from on this earth. And there was no pain. It was instantaneous, but still I was only conscious in the most basic sense, aware, not consciously thinking these thoughts, but perceiving them. It's not unlike the state of waking up from a dream, with the memory of it still present as your body adjusts to the state of waking life, except my life was a dream, and as I was suddenly awakened, all sense of that life was gone. And now to the bad part, which I will aptly name death and hell. So within this void, I soon began to see an image, that of my 3 sitters looking at me, smiling, very hazy at this point, and there is a green aura present. I recognise them, but they have no names to me. I can't identify them, but I do know them, and I can sense that they know me. They are sentient beings, and they are communicating with me, and they are me. Rather, we are of the same existence. Here in this void there is nothing and everything. Everything that is, ever was, or will be is perceived and seen for what it is. I was now existing in its purest form, a part of everything that exists, and time was irrelevant. The entire history of human existence, in reality, just a moment in time. I was now seeing this firsthand, and time was revealed as the illusion that it is. Here, in this moment, there was all the time that had ever occurred, and I felt it, I knew it. Some of you understand, but for those who don't, think of something you know to be true, and someone trying to convince you otherwise. If someone told you you don't have a left hand, you'd think they're quite silly. And you look at your hand, you move it, you know it's there, what it feels like to have it. The image of my 3 sitters became increasingly clear. There was just this image moving and spinning, and soon the image expanded, and it was no longer just an image, but an actual moment in time which I was perceiving. I came to understand that this was an impactful moment bearing some significance. And what was it? I tried to concentrate on exactly what it was, but I could not put it together, not even in a single thought, because I was still in a state of total perception and gaining information as if being shown and not by conscious thought. And I became aware that this image was from a time I had spent in a life which no longer existed, and this was accompanied by an immense feeling of guilt that I had somehow been foolish for living as I did. However, I still had no recollection of life or why I should feel this way, but I did nonetheless. At this point, as this one moment expanded, I was becoming quite rapidly aware of my state. I had lived this moment, and I was living this moment. I was contemplating the fact when I became aware that I was contemplating and that I was. I realised that I was me, or that I had been and wasn't anymore. And the first crystallised human thought came to me. I had died. I tried to speak this thought, forgetting that I didn't have a mouth, and I found that although I couldn't form the words properly, I could communicate to these smiling faces before me what I was feeling. My friends would delight in telling me later that I was actually saying, I died, I died. It was very hard to communicate this because at this moment occurred, it was only a moment, and it was repeating itself over and over and over. As soon as I could crystallise a thought and attempt to speak, the moment would revert back again, and I was stuck. I was not simply feeling like time isn't passing. It was like nothing else is happening, just this, over and over. And it was accompanied by the intense fear of never being able to experience anything else ever again. This is the closest thing to hell I've ever experienced. It's the most intense déjà vu which cannot be described in words. It's as if you're reading a book when you're really tired and you can't help it, but you keep reading the same line over and over again. And then I eventually started to come back. And it's interesting to note at this time, Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb was playing, while the haunting guitar solo screamed out as the moment of my death stretched out into forever. With each harmonic chordal change in the music, the moment in time began its repetition. My friends were at the time telling me to relax and that I hadn't died, and I wasn't getting any of this, except the knowledge that these people who appeared as friends, which I knew in that life, wanted me to feel okay, that there was nothing to worry about. At this time, I thought what I was experiencing was some sort of fleeting memory of life, one that would soon vanish as quickly as it came when I was hit by the freight train to oblivion. But the moment continued expanding, growing longer with each repetition and each time revealing more and more to me. It felt as though I was coming back from a future point in time, back to where I was, me in this life. I was remembering more and more what it was like to be me, and the thought of having lost it all was heartbreaking. I hadn't done anything, not referring to how it ended, but to my life as a whole. My whole life was nothing if not just a grain of sand in an endless desert, and I couldn't believe it. I was coming back. And there was a sense of relief, but I had trouble convincing myself of my own existence. The place I was coming back to was the same place that I had left. The bedroom, the music, my friends looking and smiling as if nothing had happened. But something had happened, and then I realised what? Salvia Divinorum. And until now, I had completely forgotten about taking the drug. I had to do something to change my settings to make something else happen. I had to come back. But to when? I felt my body again. I ran my hands over my chest, feeling again for the first time. When did I come back to? Where is the vomit? Didn't I throw up? Is this before that happened? These were actual thoughts that I was having. I moved over to the bed. I had to leave the spot where I sat. I had to see something else. And I asked how long I was gone. Just a few minutes. As I sat there watching my friends' delight and watching me freak the fuck out, I harboured horrible thoughts. That my friends knew what had just happened. That I would experience what I did. And I had the sense that they had known all along, and it was terrifying. It was as if, by taking the drug, I had become aware of some huge cosmic dark into nothing but limited human perception. A secret, yet one that was truly and totally ironic. I was feeling deluded, and I was completely in shock at this point, and I looked over at my friends, expressing something like, "Why did you show me that? I didn't want to see that." And although I harboured these hostile feelings, especially towards the provider, for a couple of hours afterwards, I now understand that this is a common symptom of salvia. And as the effects of the drug slowly wore off over around 15 minutes, I tried to talk about it and tell my friends what had happened, but to no avail. All I could get out was, I thought I had died.